up, everyone? You know it is, your boy Savar Matner coming to you live within the 5.0. This is gonna be a real brief video. Most of you guys are aware that I have a Supercharged 5.0 and I'm currently running the 110mm pulley. And I'm gonna have a video dropping real soon about the vehicle. The car's running phenomenal. I haven't really ringed it out in 4th gear yet, but this pulley is rated to make right about 10.5, 11 if you take it out with 8,000. And this car won't see that type of RPM. You know, it's a stock fucking block, so I don't plan on ringing it out. I rarely ring it up to 7,500. Normally I shift about 6 to 7, and that all depends on the octane. So just real brief, I ended up swapping pulleys here last week before I went to Detroit. I got the 110 on. I haven't took it to the dyno yet. I'm still running high flow cats with the, I know people gonna hate the BBK, but you know, this is not a drag car, so going with cooks with the green cats and all that, you know, this is practically a street car. But I would recommend if you're going to race it or track it, I would go with, you know, Cooks, Stainless Works. I will go top of the line if you're going to be tracking or dragging your car because of the cats. Now, eventually what I'm going to end up doing, because I do have a little exhaust leak right where the high flows meet the X pipe and right where the high flows meet the long tubes right there. And that's very common with BBK. But with mine, it was because of the install, and I think the people that put it in, they just didn't. There was a lot of shit that happened a couple years ago, but other than that, I'm gonna end up doing a cat delete and new X pipe, and then I'm gonna be going with some Flow Masters in the back. I got active exhaust, but Flow Masters is running the cell right now, so I might end up doing that down the line. Then eventually this car will go on E85 once I do a Ford Innovations fuel system upgrade, but that's gonna be like the last thing I do. I'm gonna do more little upgrades like to suspension, stuff like that, so it can be a fun street car. I'm about 15K into this car with extra stuff on top of the Supercharger, but that was because of something that I wanted. So, but quick second gear little tease. Now you might be wondering why I'm babying this motherfucking shifter clutch. It's not me, it's the actual clutch, and that's why I want to make this video from spec. So I have the twin flywheel, twin disc carbon Kevlar composite clutch, and it's sprung, so it's taking some of the shock away when you make when it makes connection with the transmission. When you come off the clutch and it engages with the transmission. So a lot of you guys remember I had the I'm not going straight today. A lot of you guys remember I had the oh shit, just my luck. Is he making a U-turn? Oh, thank God. So I had a transmission installed by Amco, right? And at that time I was running the McLeod RXT, and that was an unsprung clutch. And the clutch wasn't bad, but it was very aggressive on the you know, the acceleration, right? It would clamp when you come off the clutch and it engages with the transmission. It was very fucking aggressive. And what ended up happening was I allowed Amco to put the shifter in. I got the guy on camera. The guy basically said that he didn't know how to put the motherfucker in with the transmission. So what ended up happening was, you gonna stop? What ended up happening was he put the shifter in, had it double mounted. It was a lot. It's the videos on the channel documenting all that. And ultimately a synchro, sorry about that, guys, I was trying to adjust here. Ultimately a synchro in second gear got fucking thrown to shits because of the shifter and how it was putting unwanted stress on the gear selector rod because he had it double mounted. So I ended up correcting all that. Ford put in this new transmission. This is the second one, because the last one it threw a synchro because of the way the shifter was put in. And of course, I got reimbursed for that. So Ford put this one in. But before I had Ford put this in, we thought maybe the McLeod RXT clutch was causing a lot of my issues, and that wasn't the case. So I had that clutch taken out. It was inspected, but I'm like, you know what? I want to go with a better engaging clutch and not so aggressive. Little did I know, and you know, you talk to manufacturers, they'll tell you anything to try to sell a product. I should have asked, you know, Alejandro Flores when I tuned this car. Should have but you know, wasn't thinking about it. Put this clutch in, and on the last transmission, second gear was a no-go. So I'm basically going first, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So second gear wasn't being touched on the clutch, pretty much. So ended up going to fourth, put this transmission in, and then you know, they looked at the clutch. American Muscle somehow left out a it was something. There's a little tool that helps to a little shaft. Some they said it was, I can't remember the name of, but it was a piece that it was needed for a throwout bearing, so it can be so the clutch can travel the proper distance. I can't remember the fucking name of it, but anyway, they claimed that was missing. So Ford had to get all that. They put everything back together. This asshole pulls right out in front of you. Stupid bitch. Like, you see me and you just pull your ass out. Like, literally. Like, I'm coming and you just roll on through the stop sign. Want somebody to hit their fucking brakes so I won't slide into your ass. No driving, motherfuckers. I swear, like, literally waited for the last possible 100 feet or so. I'm doing fucking 45 and you coming from a stop out. So you want me to lock my brakes up so I won't slide into your ass? Like, fucking, whatever. Back to what I was saying, man. So, Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. No driving, motherfuckers. Then now back to holding up fucking traffic. They be in a rush to pull out, but then won't drive. What the fuck? But anyway. So we ended up putting in this clutch and on the transmission. And like I said, I couldn't touch second. So for a very long time, going first and second was a motherfucker in this car. Second gear is getting better, but with this particular composite on this clutch, when you start getting up about 4, 5, in some cases 6,000 RPM, and you go shift, the clutch will not disengage. And it takes a second because of the material. It's very grippy. It is very fucking grippy. So I've been certain days slowly revving it up, not putting extra, you know, power with boost, been kind of staying out of boost, and that's because I have a blow-off valve. As long as I'm not going more than half throttle, it's not going to overcome the blow-off valve to close it. So I can pretty much ride the NA and just ease up to about 45, 5,000 and engage the gears. But what I might end up doing is going back to a single flywheel with the organic composite sprung, of course, and it all depends on how this car acts. There was something I was about to say, but I fucking got sidewinded back there when that asshole pulled out. Let me see. What was it? 355 gears. I'm running 93. No fucking E85. Every now and then I put some octane booster in the car. I'm not running no octane booster right now. Just decent 93. NGKs, there are got that 0.028 with a regular booster pump with FIC 1000s. Large short throw shifter, trans mounted, and I got some minor little cosmetics just in the car. Like I say, stock drive shaft, stock everything else. Got the UPR ventilated dual catch can, so they run to one can and ventilate to keep unwanted pressure off the crankcase ventilator. And right now I'm riding around in sport mode. Now for some of you that's gonna see whenever I decide to do a pull, you do realize you can go into your settings on the dash, because right now it's in track and drag mode because of the way I got the digital set up, the digital LED back set up. But that's not the case to cluster. You can go in and go into your settings. If you hit the pony button and go into your settings, it's a cluster settings, and it can have you select the way you want your cluster to look, your instrument panel to look. It can change with the modes, with drive mode, of course, or you can have it stay in normal mode. You can have it stay in sport mode. You can have it in track mode, but it can still be in normal driving conditions. So it's in my mode right now. So pretty much I got it in sport mode. The only thing sport mode does, it makes the suspension a little bit more sportier, and it just makes the throttle response a little bit more crisp. And you might get a little bit more less traction control interference, so the tires can slip just a little bit more. If you put it in drag mode, you get launch control. The throttle's highly aggressive. car pretty much accepts the drag race, and it will allow the car to slip a lot more of the tires without traction control getting involved. Now, of course, it's track mode, same as drag mode. They just make it to where it's more trackable with traction control off, with stability control still on. So right now I'm in sport mode, but it looks like it's in track mode. So whenever I do a pull in this car, it's too cold right now. It's 44 degrees. That's just cold, this air, and you don't want to over boost, you know, in cold air. And that brings up what all I'm running. I'm running 530. No, somebody said you should be running 550. I'm running 530, and I made a video about that. And I'll tell you why, and then I'm done with this video. And like I say, once the weather gets better, you know, and everything, I'm gonna find a back road. I'm trying to get this clutch really wore in a little bit more before I can do it. I'm not doing the 1-2 in this car. Not with this clutch. It's very aggressive. It's not gonna allow me to slip that gear the way I want it. So I'm probably gonna roll a second, third, and a fourth. Probably try to do a 6-to-130 time. And then eventually when I get a new clutch in here, then I give you guys a hard 1, 2, 3, 4 pull. But I'm running 530 in this car, and I'll tell you why that is. A lot of people read forums, and I ran 550 in this car not that long ago. And you have to remember, when you have a centrifugal supercharger, you're not going to see the same boost at every gear. And I explained this to a guy that I asked Alejandro Flores on his show last Thursday, and he confirmed that. Centrifugals build boost with RPM, but the blow-off valve dictates how quick that boost comes on. So let's say I'm riding around in 4th gear, I'm making a pass, and the RPMs from 6 to 4 may put at 4,000. I might not be seeing any boost at the time. I know I'm not, because I'm not on the throttle. If I'm downshifting real quick, and then once I hit the throttle at 4,000, they have to try to build boost as quick as possible. Now I have a 2 PSI spring. I'm running the tile blow-off valve, and I have precision, but the tile requires you to make about 2 pounds of boost. So once you floor right there at 4,000, and I'm on a smaller pulley now, it's gonna see boost. It may jump to three real quick. But if I don't run it up to 7,200, it's not gonna see 10 pounds. If I'm in 3rd gear and I slam it in 3rd, because of the gear, and it's not my 1-to-1 gear, it's a lower gear, it might only see 6 to 7 pounds instead of 10 pounds, because you're gonna torque out quick. So a lot of that has to do with the centrifugal, the blow-off valve setup, and the way that this supercharger is. Turbos and the supercharger that sit on top of your vehicle, right? Turbos are dictated by wastegate. So if you have the wastegate to open up at 10 PSI, it's gonna open up at 10 PSI. That means with turbos, you can see the same amount of boost in every gear, because the wastegate dictates when that happens, right? The blow-off valve relieves the pressure once you come out of boost, after you slam the throttle shut to overcome surge, compressor surge. But if the wastegates don't see 10 pounds of boost to open up and let it flow out the exhaust, so you won't overboost, then you can see that 10 pounds. With a Whipple or TVS, a positive displacement, they're all positive displacement, but a positive displacement supercharger that sits on top of your manifold see boost all the time, because there's no blow-off valve. So when you're running turbos that's fucking making a lot of power, and you're running, especially with turbos, use the exhaust. So it's recommended you use a 550 or 540, 550 with turbos, if the compressor itself can handle the type of oil, because that is a thicker oil. As it heats up, it gets thicker. So when you're running those type of superchargers and you're constantly seeing boost is a byproduct of heat. So you want to run a thicker oil. Why? Because a thin oil, you'll burn off quicker. Now in my vehicle, since I'm running a triple supercharger, there's no need for 550 unless I was running, like, say, a G3, G4, highly aggressive, pulley the fuck down, maybe running E85, because I'm gonna make boost real quick, really quick. But since I have a blow-off valve, and that's the only thing I got, it manipulates when the boost come on. A lot of times, guys, I'm riding around and everything's been in the atmosphere. So if I'm running 550 and then I floor it, the engine is gonna have a harder time trying to overcome that oil as the velocity heats up. There are certain drawbacks to a oil that's too thick. for the power that you're making. You have certain tolerances and stuff in that vehicle that if it's not properly at operating temp, you can do more damage, more harm than good. So I found that when I went from a 550 to a 530, my engine started breathing better. I didn't smell all that oil. I wasn't having a shit ton of blow by coming out of my fucking oil catch can. And the car seemed more happier. I didn't want to run a 520 because that's too thin. And yes, even though I'm not seeing boost all the time, when I do go on the boost, I do want a little bit of a thicker oil so it can overcompensate and protect my moving parts in the engine a lot better. So I would recommend, when it's centrifugal, unless you're running the G3, G4 and you're making more than 12, 13 pounds of boost, especially running 85, you don't need that thick of oil. And hotter climates especially, you don't want too thick of oil. I'll tell you go down to a 5W40, to be honest. But you know, if you live in colder climates up north, 0 through 50 is fine. Especially if you're running a Roush or something like that, you probably get away with 540 if you're not too aggressively pulley. But since you're always seeing boost and there's no blow by, there's no blowout valve, then you don't want to not have that protection. So if you run centrifugal, take my advice on that. You do want some thicker oil, but you don't want to go too thick and then try to floor. Your engine gonna try to breathe. It's gonna try to breathe, and if that oil is trying to warm up and thicken, and if you're not making enough power to overcompensate that, you're gonna have a bad time. Trust me, you're gonna have a really bad time. So that's why I'm running 530 in this vehicle, and the W stands for winter. Because somebody will say, well, but the viscosity, as oil heats up and as it gets thicker, it weighs more. So when we say weight, yes, we're talking about the viscosity of the oil and how thick that oil gets. And that does mean it gets a little bit heavier. That oil has to be able to go through however it goes through the engine, through holes and bypasses and stuff like that. So if it's too thick and you're not making enough power, you're gonna have a bad time. They're like putting 550 in a fucking V6. The Shelbys, they run 550, but they have a 5.2 engine liter, and it goes way up in RPM, like 85, almost 9,000 RPM. So it's bore a little bit bigger, so they can run that oil. All Chevys run a 550, but the regular GTs, you don't have to run a 550. You're not making enough power to run a 550. You should run a 530 at least, even if it's NA, in my opinion, in a car like a GT, a regular base GT. 520 is more than enough. But if you're tracking it all the time, yes, 530, 540 is what you should run. But for someone that's just like me, riding around, not beating up on the car every motherfucking day, I don't need a 550 in my car. So anyway, that's a quick update. I'm gonna try to bring you guys some pulls, let you see the cluster instrument panel, the RPM stuff where I shift. So I'm gonna have to probably put a camera in the back, or try to do something that's not gonna be dangerous. But other than that, man, I just want you guys to know what's going on with the vehicle. I am running the 110 now on the vehicle. No issues. I know ESS recommends that you don't, but out there in Arizona, they run 91. But tuners and Roush and fucking Whipple send their stock blowers from factory making 10 PSI. So you can run a 10 PSI on these Coyotes. I wouldn't recommend going higher than 12. There are some guys that I know that run the ESS that have a G3 that has a 12-pound pulley on the vehicle. But you can, if you're not overly aggressively driving the car all the time, get away with that. However, I wouldn't recommend it. I think 10 to 11 PSI is safe. Lund, listen to what Lund says. Lund agrees with that. That's why I go off. I don't go off of what other people say. If you want to have a good car, I just went to Michigan and back with the 110. Not a fucking problem. The short-term fuel trims at idle is right at 0, maybe 1 negative, 1 positive. Long-term sits between at idle right around 0, maybe 1 or 2. But driving roughly -7, -8. But when you're driving, you're always getting the gas from time to time. Fuel trims are awesome. This car is perfect. So with that being said, guys, hope y'all enjoy. It's boy Savar Matner. Look out for more 5.0 content coming soon. Until then, you guys stay safe. I'm everyone.